Hi, in today's quick tip, what I want to look at today is showing you the usefulness of groups and how you can actually, if you spend a bit of time making a template, I just want to show you a few things that you can do just to kind of speed up your workflow over the course of a session. So the first thing that I want to do is, say we're doing an imaginary session and we're just about to set up for drums. The first thing we can do is we press Shift, Command and N, and this brings up the new track dialog. And say I'm going to have 12 tracks and I'm going to call them drums. One of the new things in Pro Tools 20, I think it's from Pro Tools 12 or 2019, you can now actually name the tracks here and it'll just automatically batch down the tracks. If I was going to go through this in more detail, I might double click these like drums and call this kick in. Next one might be like command and right and left to let you cycles through. Next one will be kick out, etc, etc. So I'm not really too worried about that. I mean, this will just highlight my amazing spelling on out. There we go. Right, so say I've got 12 mics of drum. If I wanted to change all the levels in one go, first thing I can do is press Command and G. I'll call them drums so I remember what group they're called. I'd recommend always labeling your groups, so then in this dialog section here, all your list of groups will come up. So if you ever need to know what the shortcut is, they'll tell you what they are. So we're going to call them drums. They tell you what groups are, what tracks are available. And these are the ones that you're actually assigning because they're the ones I've selected. Now ID, the one I think I'd recommend trying to do is you're going to have a few groups and tracks in your session that you might be using all the time. And I'd recommend whenever possible is assigning group values and IDs to specific groups. So for me, the logical thing for drums is because I'm doing them all the time, I'm going to set them to D. And now I press OK, and all the groups, as you can see, the colours of the tracks have changed, and it's so long we're doing. And now if I recorded something, so I've just armed all the tracks, blah blah blah, you'll see that the clips also change because I've got the group sections done as well. So I've got the track colours set up in Pro Tools. So that's one thing. So now say we've got a group for drums. The other thing now is that all the values will go together. If we wanted to adjust what settings that we had on here, if we go to attributes and we took off follow globals, we could also look at like assigning the pans so they're all the same. This might be more useful if I was on guitars. And also the other thing that you can actually do is also control volume, like the sends and everything as well. So something that might happen is, again on guitars maybe, is like probably a good example for this, is that I could set it so it controls all the plugins on any of the inserts and any of the sends as well. We can turn them on and off. And the other thing as well is like probably record enable I might put on, and input monitoring as well. So now do the tracks. So like I've now got on these, all the plugins are now going to go and be controlled in slot A. So I'm just going to bring in a plugin. That doesn't really matter too much what I use. We're still looking for channel strip. So we've got the channel strip. If I shift and click another track, so we'll have two of them up. If you notice, if I move one, the other will change as well. So already I just click the yellow and you can see that the tabs on both of these are changing. So I've did the yellow and see where, here we are. This is really useful if you're doing like, say, like a group of snares or like groups, like you want to do group EQs on something. This can be really, really handy. So just do that, change some settings here, change the ratio, the depth and whatever. So you can see that they're both, all the values are changing. Anything you click on also updates. So that's one of the most really, really important things. So on the drums, I'm going to go back to modify. I'm just going to click follow globals. So what that does is actually follows, by default the track groups will follow the global settings for all the groups. And the other thing that I could do is these attributes, if I wanted to, I could save this setting as location 1. So we've got our drums, we've got a group for the drums. The next thing we want to do is let's make some guitars. Let's do guitar 1, and there's gonna be 3 tracks for guitars. Press enter, and now I'm going to do Command G, new set of groups, guitars, and I'm going to put this down as G, and I'm going to leave, and then also I'm actually going to have this, so I'd have the pans set up as well, solos, put them all on, and the controls. Now because I set the settings previously I save the settings to slot 1, if I press 1 now, you'll notice that the settings have changed. So if I wanted like a different configuration, I could do that and I could save that to 2. So that's just a really, really quick way of having certain settings previously set up. So then, say for whatever reason I wanted these to go to the headphone channels 1 and 2 on my mixer, I just command click the little arrow here. You'll notice now, because the groups have been updated, that all these follow and the pans should follow as well. There. And whereas on these groups, I don't think I've done that. So these are on globals. Globals don't have any of the pans, so you can see I can move them around. The other thing that's also I probably normally do as well, when we're recording bands, like say we might have like a set of tracks like this, I've got guitars and drums as an example. I might group all these together and call this a tracking group. So what this is being used for is, I'm setting this up so whenever I'm recording with the drums, I want everything in record enable, and I might be that I want to set up new playlists or duplicate playlists. Everything works together on the edits as well. So tracking, logical thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is T. I'm going to set it up as T. So now we've got a tracking group, which just so happens to be the same as the drum group. But that just means then that you can see that it's a very, very easy way of setting up groups for. So there we are. As you can see now, I've got a tracking group that's recording everything. And then say I wanted to do, where this becomes useful, say you're doing takes of something, I could go back to the beginning, and then if I press Control and the /, I've now created a new playlist on all the tracks. Say that the band recorded a really, really good take, and we've got the guide tracks down. I don't need the band to play the rest of the guide tracks. All we need now is the drummer just to play along to what we've got. I could take those tracks out of record, and I could go back, I can disable the tracking group, and I could just have the drum tracks then to record a new take over that. So let's just say I'm going to record. Let's just say I'm recording now for new drums. Quite like that take. Let's go to another take. So this is just like another way of looking at groups. This is why groups are really, really useful. I'd recommend, if you can, is just spend a little bit of extra time when you're setting up the session, just thinking about some logical key shortcuts for the group IDs. So it just means that they might look like a bit of a mess down here, but it'll just save you a bit of time later on when you think, okay, I want to have all the drums enabled for a group for editing. I can change that from D. I say I wanted to have I just want to look at the kick drum, or I want to just change something on the level for kick drum, we could do that. And the same for the snare as well. I can enable that on and off by pressing S. As always, let me know what you think. If there's any shortcuts that you like, or any way that you use these group commands, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. As I'm always saying now, is I've got a request form on the comment in the description. So if there's anything you want me to look into or explain or break down, let me know, and I'll get back to you. We'll see what I can do for you in the very near future. But thanks as always. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and see you all in the next video.